I love the saying, leadership without connection is control. Hey, because I've been a part of some
Say
really...
it again to the nosebleed
the
section.
Leadership
Yeah.
without connection is control.
Hi, and welcome back to Foreground Podcast. My name is Moaga, and it is such a delight and an honor to have you join us. This is season 2. Can you believe that we're in season 2? Season 1, we were on our learner's driver's license. We're just trying to figure out how to talk to our guests, trying to figure out exactly our identity in the podcast. And we've just had some amazing guests in the past, which we want to thank as well. But season 2, I feel like season 2, we are going to level up this season. We had a lot of great feedback and contributions from our community, asking us, what is the podcast about? Is it about the 4 C's? Is it about the guests? What is it about? And so this season 2, when we get on our guests, we just want to refine that process and add value to you. And we've got people from different industries. We got listeners and viewers in different parts of industries as well. Some are just casual fans who always like our content. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you a lot. But we're also appreciative of our sponsors or our people that just empower our podcast. Shout out to Alani Networks Media, who've been fantastic with the broadcasting, with making us look fantastic. If you've seen this on 4K, I do look this good. No, I'm only kidding. I wish my wingman was here, but I'll explain that too. So thank you to Alani Networks Media. Please check them out on social media, but also on their website. They do amazing things in that space. Also, thank you to Lumbr Café, Spine Street in Sumner. Man, where would we be about this cafe? They basically power us like energetically because the coffee is amazing. But not only that, the staff are amazing. So shout out to Lumbr Café, Spine Street, Sumner. I had a stutter there, I had a pause, but again, we're super grateful as well. Speaking of which, one thing I'm grateful for is my co-host, Peter Lee, who is not here with me today for season 2, episode 1, but he will be joining us in the coming episodes. But we just want to go straight into it. Season 2, we don't muck around. We are going straight into it. And the guest that I have today, again, I've been a fan of his work. We cross paths in community sector, but then observing each other's work on social media. But that's only a part of it. With anything, when you see someone on social media, you're like, what do they do? Why do they do what they do? And how have they gotten themselves in a position where they are innovators, leaders in their own right in their industry? And so today I am privileged to have guest, but also I would say a colleague. Anytime that we do stuff collaboratively, whether it be on screen, online, but off as well. But also I would say he's a motivator. He's a mentor to people. But I think one of the biggest pieces for me, he's just an encourager. So anytime that we have spoken to one another, he just continuously encourages me. And for me as a leader, I need that. Leadership is lonely. We all know that, it's proven, but when you are surrounding yourself with other leaders, you get to sharpen each other. And he's one of the biggest encouragers and motivators. So, Ronnie, welcome to season 2, episode 1. I'm so grateful that you can be here to join us.
I appreciate it, brother. Yeah, it's a long time coming just in our journey, but to now record all the things that we've been doing. I reckon we recorded about 4,000 podcasts already, but yeah, I'm very grateful to be here.
Yeah. One of the things that Foreground Podcast that we've said in the past in season 1, we anchor ourselves in the 4 C's: corporate, community, connection, and I think I'm missing one. I have to read my own writing. Community, culture, of course. And specifically, if we have guests who have spoken into these 4 pillars, but also for our viewers, we really want to be intentional this season and speak about leadership in the sense that how has it helped you, gotten you where you are today? And I guess one of the first questions I want to ask, because people are saying, who are you? And how have we gotten you onto this podcast? So just briefly, who are you?
I love it. in Samoan, they always say, "Yep, tailawa mole avanoa." Thank you for the opportunity. Talofa. My name's Toalepai Eronny Mareko. I'm a son. I'm a husband, a father of 5 beautiful kids. Most blessed opportunity to be a father. I'm a proud Samoan. I hail from the villages of Satupaitea
Okay.
and Tuanai, and I carry the High Chief title of Toalepai from Saipipi. For me, it's a title, but it reminds me of Tautua, how I need to serve.
Yep.
I work in community services where we're connected in many spaces, but never had this kind of intention to do these things. But my journey now is just to bring the best out of people, sharpen their swords, and also provide opportunity that they've never had before in their life.
Yeah.
Things above and beyond their mindset.
Yeah.
But that's me.
Yeah. Yeah. You just said Saipipi. My dad's from Saipipi.
There you go.
We could be related. This is an exclusive world first.
Yeah, there you go.
That is a whole other conversation. I'm like, hey, this is crazy. I reckon that's why we have good synergy.
That's right.
So if you're watching this from Savai, you know what it is. You know what it is. Tell me about Pacific Certified, because that's sort of like a career journey for you. And I'd love for you to unpack a bit for our viewers and listeners, because when I first found out what you did, we first actually crossed paths in community sector, where we shout out to Tetis, Marcini and Carlos and the crew. They orchestrated this cool community connection where we had the UFC fighter Alex Pereira,
Chama.
Chama. And they just invited a whole bunch of community leaders. I was fortunate. I was like, what is happening? How did I get this invite? But because we've done work with them in the past, and then that's how we first crossed paths, and we sort of sat next to each other on the mat while we were waiting for this event to happen. And we just started to talk about the impact that we were wanting to make in our communities, trying to find out what each other did. I was explaining to you my work of chaplaincy, but also in community as well. Then you began to share about Pacific Certified. So again, I was really interested in Pacific Certified, but I think there's more to it than just that. But let's start there, because I'm interested to ask you about those questions.
No, I appreciate it, bro. It goes way back when I used to play footy. So I'm very blessed to rep Endeavour Sports High School and gone to the Cronulla Sharks system. Played a bit of footy there. And what I noticed that I was one of 2 players that were going to university in that 30-man 20 squad. And with that 30-man squad, and only 2 were going through further education, I was always that guy that would come late to training and was like, what am I doing here? Because I'm trying to do this academic life and then also coming and playing footy. A big key for this was watching a lot of the brothers who did end up pursuing or moving away from rugby league. There was a bit of an identity crisis there. The journey of trying to remove themselves as a rugby league player into the real world, it caused a lot of stress, not only for them, but their families, because, with rugby league, rugby union, elite sports, it's a lottery ticket. That's what I've learned. It's a lottery ticket. So how can I pull away the lottery ticket feeling and provide some framework around how we can best support the young person or the young men or women now in the NRLW to allow for those things to happen, where they can understand and pursue greatness with anything they do. Pacific Certified grew from that. It's a journey of watching people go through the toughest times of their life, relying on other people's affirmation of them, their identity, telling them that, you rock up into the squad and you're part of the 18, you're pretty happy, right? But when you're on the fringe of 19th, 20th player, you're like, how do I get back into that team? Because I'm no longer noticed now. I'm now just on the fringe, and therefore, I'm basing my emotion and my love of this game on another person, which is the head coach or the trainer, right? Where I fit in this space was, okay, how do I make sure that I can be 18th or 19th or 20th man and still be okay?
Wow.
Still be okay of the idea that I know who I am.
Gotcha.
I know where I stand, and what you tell me does not define me or define where I'm going. And that's the journey of Pacific Certified, was where, okay, this is the journey of further education and employment after sport. And then understanding that some of the brothers and sisters now don't always have that opportunity to have a mentor or someone behind them in that third space, letting them know that being non-judgmental, non-authoritative in their life, going, okay, I got you no matter what the situation is. So the journey of Pacific Certified is flipped and turned, but the core essence of this was going, okay, identity is not rugby league. Identity is you, where you come from. And I mentioned it. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a son, I'm a grandson.
Yeah.
But when I understood that more, that allowed me to be bigger than what I had. Dreams and aspirations that I thought I couldn't have, but was grounded in my identity, which allowed things to move forward. So it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah.
To allow, or for people that's been allowing me to fall into their spaces like today.
Yeah.
To share knowledge and to understand who they are.
Yeah.
Moving into the next part of their life. So that's the journey of Pacific Certified.
And I love that because I can hear a turning point for you while you were a young player.
Yeah.
Who was it for you that you sort of looked to and went, actually, by looking at the way that person moves, not in the physical sense, but they're making moves education-wise, who am I looking ahead to and going, at some point I'm going to be kind of doing what they're doing? Was there people in your life that was sort of encouraging you in that space?
I'm going to name 3 of them before I forget them straight away. Dr. Georgie Ravulo,
okay,
David Lakisa, and a guy named Jeff Hardy, one of my mentors, coach. These 3 men had very different pathways. One was an academic, another's an academic, and the other was my coach, mentor, and a high school teacher for me, right? One thing they had in common was they always pushed the boundaries in everything that they did. And one thing, one of them key, Jeff Hardy, was talking about relationships, how to foster relationships, how to build relationships, how to know that this relationship is a good relationship, and how to not burn the bridges of anything that you're doing. So those are the 3 kind of men. Now I'll take it home.
Yeah.
Dad working nonstop, many hours, doing everything that he could just to put food on the table for my family. Then my mother navigating mother life, volunteering at school and doing all the things that she's doing, right? And the qualities of hard work, sacrifice, and doing things for no money. My mom was the PNC leader for many years and was wondering, okay, how can I watch my mother do this work for service for free? But all she had in her mind was how to serve, to help my kids. So I have the best of both worlds. I get to work hard. I have an opportunity to share space. And then also tautua, which is kaukua, which is serve, where my mother used to do it for free, right? And now I have an opportunity to be able to do it and serve with purpose and meaning and allow that to feed my kids. To put them in positions that I've never been in. There's 5 people there, right there. But it's a common theme of hard work, a lot of passion, a lot of energy, and initiative in a lot of these spaces. You can call it PI, passion, initiative, energy. There you go.
Yeah, I love it. Where does for you, how do you sustain that continuous passion in the work that you do? Because the work that you do, and I love it. The work that you do is very people orientated. Tautua, you said it's about service. How do you continue to sustain that drive without being burnt by people, by organizations, or just like, how do you not lose passion for it?
Nah, I love the question. I said straight after my name, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and the journey of that is up and down. We all go through that space. One of the key things is obviously my belief in there's things out there and God himself that's going to navigate me through the toughest challenges. And I'm a stroke survivor. 2024, I had a stroke, completely flipped the switch of many things that happened in my life. And I've shared this with you off the record where the start of March 2025, I had a stroke in October 2024, which flipped the switch on where my business was going. When you're sitting there in the hospital and not knowing where you're going, and then you got 5 kids that my wife can't even come to the emergency space because she has to navigate that space downstairs, flips the switch. The visitors that come to the hospital, the people that are coming, my parents flew in from Sydney just to be there during those moments, completely flipped the switch. So when I reflect in that moment is where I go, okay, all these ideas and energy and passion and initiative and all these spaces that we do could have just gone to the grave, and my kids would have just remembered the dad that that defined me during those moments as a father. But what keeps me going was knowing that now is that I have to keep everything that I have. Any sport, any journey, any business, any transactions that I do has to be meaningfully and honest and fruitful. We talked about that light bulb moment. How do you become the light bulb moment, for every moment? Any conversation you have, and I love that saying where you go, okay, slow to speak,
Yep.
quick to listen. You know, and a lot of the awesome men that I have, and including my father, is just he listens, and then you're waiting for a response, but he just keeps on listening. You know, he's holding that space for you, and like it's like you're loading in Mortal Kombat, where the words are going, and I'm still waiting for him to respond back. But that's the pinnacle moment where I knew that anything that I do now has to be meaningful, because if I fall off this earth and I get called, that I know that I did everything that I could as a father, as a husband, as a son, as a businessman, as a partner in all these things that we're doing. So that's where I see
Yeah.
the changes. And
Yeah. What that defining moment, and I think what I loved you said about slow to speak, quick to listen.
yeah,
How does that philosophy for you, and it's almost like a framework in itself, how does that impact the way you're trying to create culture in terms of the clients you have, you take on, the organizations you represent, in terms of building relationship? Because I think that's super important. And we can often rush through, I just want to get to the outcomes. I've been told this is what I have to do with this participant, with this client, this organization. But how do you shift the culture for you with that concept of slow to speak, quick to listen?
I love working with young people and adults in any sector. You know, when they say, for us to work with young people, we have to create the space to be safe and safe space, and everyone's voices to be heard. It doesn't change when you're older. It doesn't change. When I've worked in spaces and places where I've looked at the young person or looked at my colleagues, the people that I may be managing at the time, ability was never the problem. Ability was never the problem. Some of them may, but some of the times, some of the spaces I've been in, high level spaces, it's their identity that kind of corrupts a lot of things. When I look back at identity, what's their foundation? Who are they? What do they do? Why are they here? When I'm being able to unpack that with a lot of anyone in general, in all age groups, from a young person to like the age of my son.
Yeah.
My son at 4 years old goes, dinosaurs. If he loves dinosaurs, let's talk about dinosaurs. If an older fella talks about his relationship, let's talk about what's happening there. The moment I was able to strip back all things around work and the workspace that we're part of and what journey we're on, it allowed me to go, okay, to step into that space, and allowed me to be a navigator with them.
Yep.
The identity is a huge space, a huge place, and I've seen I love the work that you guys are doing here. With Foreground, you allow people to find their safe space, their third space where they can go, okay, this is who I am, this is how I do it, and then you can navigate that with them. You can coach them and mentor them in that phase, and that's where I see a lot of the success that I've had in being mates with friends. I love the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. They talk about how you're not always right, mate. You're not always right, but what you can do is listen and talk when it's needed. You know, there's times where you sit there and you're like, okay, you want to answer the question straight away. And my wife would say all the time, I was very quick to talk when we first met. I know the answer to that problem. I know the answer. But she just wants me to listen.
Yeah.
You know, she just wants us to listen. So I've carried a lot of the traits and skills that I've learned off the wife. So shout out to the wifey there that
Happy Valentine's to
happy
all
Valentine's Day.
the
Nothing's
partners.
planned. I'm gonna probably take something from here to bring home for you. But yeah, that's where I found it, when I was able to unpack individuals in their space, in their place. That's when it allowed me to, okay, now the goal that we have here, the reason why we're sitting here is because of this.
Yep.
The vision, the mission.
Yep.
And then aligning those, and then I believe it makes success
Tell
happen.
us about that tool of the third space, because it's something that is familiar to me. It may not be for all, but how has that impacted the way that you lead? So just unpack with us what
I love it.
What third space is and what does it looks like?
To me, and from what I've experienced, was in a triangle. Like, you look at a triangle and there's three spaces. There's the three spaces, right? Um, and I'll just refer to a young person, right? There's a young person who goes to school, and the school teachers and the principals are authoritative, disciplinary. They go to the home, which is the other side of the triangle, is also judgmental, authoritative, tell you where you need to go do the dishes, do this. And that third space is the person where they're non-judgmental, non-authoritative. That's the key, right? They're like the coach, the mentors that you have in your space that mum and dad will tell you the same thing and you say, nah. And then the third space goes, you should do this. And you're like, hell yeah, let's go. Let's go. And that's the journey where I've been carrying a lot of the framework that I do now is, okay, as a leader as a business or as a leader in another business that I work in, I need to try find a balance in this because I'm mostly authoritative, non-authoritative, you know? My mum used to say, I've been telling you many times, and then your coach comes, he says it once, you do it.
You do it.
And that's where I find the beauty of life, where even for me and my kids, I hope they find that third space with somebody. Because I'm authoritative, non-authoritative. You can try to be their best friend, but you're the one that's also disciplining them.
Yeah.
So that third space is quite crucial in how we move forward in life, is that you provide, you know that saying, you show me your friends, show me your future. When you provide yourself in a space and put yourself in spaces where sometimes it's uncomfortable, but you know that these families have the same values as you.
Yeah.
And that's something that unlocks a lot of the changes in people themselves.
Yeah.
And that third space allows for things to move positively and sometimes negatively. But when you know how to navigate that third space, you can make so many behavioral changes. You can make so many changes in their lives, and they start to see their identity, who they are.
How does it work? And like, because you've given me a great example, personal, right? Like how you're working with a young person. What does it look like in the corporate sector? Like you've worked across many organizations, but when you're coming up against, I shouldn't even say correction, you're not coming up against corporates, but when you have opportunities to go to identify the third space, or what does it look like to encourage them to? How do you shape their third space with them? What does that look like for you when they say, Ronnie, you're now treading on very thin ice here because you're shifting a bit of third space?
I love what you said. You said businesses focus on output, and I get that in many businesses spaces. When you go in, they go, this is the result, we need to get to this result. The way I use the third space and the methods around it is, okay, I can be the non-authoritative and authoritative space. And because I've navigated it for quite a while, you know when to pick and choose your moments in those scenarios. And when you're with them in a place where they've got some challenges at home, and you've got this output that the business is wanting, how do I fill that space? How do I fill that void that's needed to be filled? And I think that's what comes with great leaders. We spoke about it before, where you can play every role from the captain to the utility to the 18th man, and also be the water boy at the same time. And when I play those different positions and have played those different positions, I've never played halfback 5'8" in rugby league, but I always thought I could. But in the business world, we can play those roles, especially when you've experienced that. So for me, with businesses focusing on the output, I focus on the person that I'm working with and their identity. Once I create that space where, okay, this is the identity, this is what makes them, what motivates them, then I'm able to make a bit of a change and fill in the gap where because not everyone's graphic designers. You know, when there's moments where you need to create a poster, and you know damn well he doesn't know how to use a computer, but you still ask them, and you're like, why did I ask them? But you already know that this is not their journey. They're spokesperson, they're MCs. You know, that's what they love. So finding their strengths and then knowing also the weaknesses in some of their work that they do, that third space comes in so you can navigate that well to provide success for the company, but not only that for them, for the company, but also for the person that's working with you.
Yeah. Connection is important. Genuine connection. I think for me personally, as someone who is passionate about educating, speaking to people, before I even get too much into a dialogue, if I'm standing in front of someone one-on-one, or whether it be in a room of 40 people, 100 people, thousands of people, my first go-to is, how do I connect with them? How do I connect with them? Because I think it's a value that it's a vulnerability value. if you know what I mean. And in a business setting, you know, you don't want to be seen as too vulnerable, because then let's just make it transactional. But connection is relational.
Mm.
How do you go about making genuine connection with the people without them feeling like, oh, okay, I don't want to give too much? Because I think what you're doing with an athlete, because that's some of your participants or your clients, but then also you do consultancy for businesses. And how do you encourage? How do you for yourself communicate connection without having to make them feel unsafe?
And I take my phone with me. Sometimes, most times, I got a photo of my family.
Okay.
So I go, okay. The journey for most of my conversations, I always go back to, oh, do you have any kids? Or I open the conversation, so I bring it back home. The thing that I love about home is I'm so connected with my identity. And it's taken a while, with the stroke and things like that that's happened in my life. But when I know where I stand, I start to look at myself more than anyone else's opinion, right? So when I meet with people, and when I meet with you, Ray, there's quick times where I become vulnerable in those moments straight away. I'm like, man, I got 5 kids, I'm a father, and you know, things are happening. And the moment I break the ice with a lot of these conversations with leaders, I've had leaders, even Scott Morrison, we've caught up with David Lakisa, we'll talk about it, you know, sitting in these tables and you're like,
That's crazy. I'm gonna pause. Did you say Scott Morrison?
Yeah.
Like PM Scott Morrison?
PM Scott Morrison. Sitting
Sco-mo.
there. Yeah. David Lakisa and Jeff Hardy sitting in the same room, just talking about some of this journeying that we're going to do, right? And to be able to go, okay, this is what I stand for, and this is what I'm all about, and then take me as I am type of attitude, right? And within those key moments, when I know where I stand, because you become vulnerable, but the journey after letting them know who you are, they can do whatever they take from you from that moment is up to them.
Okay.
You know, because when I go home, I'm okay. Like, we're good to go. When we have conversations here, when we have conversations wherever we go, I still get in my car. I'll play probably UB40 and crack a joke and red wine happening, you know.
Some island reggae.
I move away and take away whatever just happened is okay.
Yeah.
But who I am is more important.
Yeah.
You know, and it's taken a while for me to get to that place where you go, okay, this is what I'm all about. And that's all it is. And there's nothing, it don't make it more complicated. People ask you, okay, how are you? I go, yeah, wife's happy, kids are healthy. If that's the path that I'm heading, then I'm doing okay. You know, and I prioritize that well.
And I love it, because when I think of genuine connection with people, but then also organizations, corporates, it doesn't matter on what level of corporate and organization, I think there's something beautiful there in terms of how do you encourage, or how do you take a corporate environment and how do you keep it human focused?
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you've learned? Like, how do you keep how do you keep that remaining focus on humans as opposed to just going outcomes? What has been your experience in that?
I love it. You reminded my Year 12 HSC assessments that I had. I'm 33, so we did belonging as a key part of. And I actually remember the first line I wrote in my Year 12 my Year 12 assessment, when they said, "What is belonging?" I said, "Belonging is an instinctive human need in all of us." And when you talk about human focused, it's literally human first. You know, they're human first. And how do I make sure that they understand the vision and mission, but also know that they belong?
Got you.
When you're not belonging to that group or not find any sense of the understanding of the vision and mission that's at hand, you'll get people making decisions that are outside of their comfort zone and not knowing what they're doing. So human first, showing them where they belong in that business, that business model, and then therefore they can go, okay, this is what my strength is. This is how I can contribute to the team. You'll never see a front rower trying to kick the ball to win the game.
I've seen some, but
I've seen some
cringe moments.
Yeah, not at the elite level, right? Like, no, you know,
you shouldn't.
Let's chuck Sam out. Shout out to Sam Cassiano. You won't put Sam Cassiano to kick the winning goal for Bulldogs on the sideline. So, like, knowing that they belong to the group, knowing what space they hold in that business, and that human first approach allows for things to grow. Because when they know their identity, so they're fixed on their identity, and then you go, okay, these people actually know me and my name,
Yeah.
and you meet a few people, how strong a name can be for somebody. The name, when your parents name you, like I used to be, okay, my name's Ron. I used to shorten my name.
Yeah.
But there's so much value in my name. Eronny comes from a long, there's a journey with that, right? But when it comes back to the business, reflecting back to the business, is that they know what they do in their business. They know their role. The business treats them as human first. That's where I see the success, because it allows them to know clearly exactly what they're doing in there. There's places where you get out of your comfort zone and you go, yeah, I can do that. But knowing that people are taking the risks but know where they're going, the vision, that's where I see the fruits of that human first approach.
Yeah. That speaks a lot into who you are as a person, right? Who did that for you? Who did that for you to make you feel like you've mentioned some of your mentors and professional ones, but also family. But a core business, like I love it because from afar, as you're explaining it, I can see it. You live it, you breathe it. You're a person that creates an environment, and we call it cultural architect.
Yeah.
Cultural architect is a person who creates an environment that you want others to be a part of, belonging, but you also want others to be safe, psychological safety, but then you also want others to contribute to and to thrive in that. So who was it for you growing up? Was there a moment in your leadership, first of all, and professionalism that like, hey, these people made me feel that belonging feel, but it gave me, it was more than just that?
Man, professionally, Jeff Hardy, I mentioned him before. Jeff Hardy played Super League, married an amazing wife named Anne. Anne. They have beautiful kids, and watching him lead his family in the journey as a father in that space with a son that it's on the spectrum, high. I can't refer to, like, he's autistic, and the way he operated his family within the realms of his workspace, and always prioritized what he had at home before anything else, is what defined where I see him as a leader. Because he was willing to sacrifice his workspace for his family. Now I forgot where we're heading with this question, because you said who was the person. Okay, yeah. And what he did for his family was a testament to a lot of things, because he had a lot of success financially as well. So I knew that he had a lot of property and things were going on. But the person that stood in front of me every day had a lot of passion, had a lot of energy, showed initiative. Any moment I had him, when he greeted me on the phone, he'd be like, Ronnie, what's going on? Every phone call was like, hey, what's happening? I used to get confronted by the phone call. He was like, hey, Ron, what's happening? And it's that energy he brought into any space, any place he was in. He just kept on bringing that energy. And I said, okay, if that's the key of providing that energy around these conversations, I think I want to do that too. Yeah. So when I see you, Ray, I'm like, what's up, bro? What's going on, man? Like, we're good. It's that, it's like that first introduction to the energy, right? Yeah. The energy levels we see, we crack jokes, we carry on, but we're able to insert that in the conversation straight away. So it's like starting the vehicle straight away, and we're ready to move on. Yeah. The thing that stuck for me the most of Jeff Hardy was his journey was to create more leaders. Not stand in front of the pack and go, this is what we're doing. Nah, he used to stand behind me and go, this is how you do it. So the way he approached this thing was, okay, say there was a project that needs to be done and he knew that I was capable of doing it but not ready, he would still give me the project. So what he would do was elevate me to the front. He sits the back, navigates the vehicle, and pretty much like the old school on the map MAP stuff, going, yeah, turn left, turn right, oh, hold there, right? But what he created for me was to go, okay, how as a leader can I create more leaders? And that's what he did. And that elevation and understanding that, yes, I wasn't comfortable in sometimes, but knowing that he backed me, because if Jeff Hardy backs me, I'm good to go. Yeah. And that's what I like to create in a lot of the teams that I've been a part of, been blessed to be a part of, is that when they do lead the vehicle and take the lead on the drive, and they're driving the vehicle, that if something comes up that they know their co-driver is going to be like, hey, well, hold up, just there's a stop sign, slow down, So That's what I loved about Jeff Hardy, was that he was a leader for me,
Yeah.
but his version of leadership was to create more leaders.
Yeah.
So he would put me in the front, let me run the show, let me drive the car, but was always there to navigate if there was any challenges coming up ahead.
Yeah. What's one of the biggest challenges when it comes to multiplication of leaders for a person who leads an organization? Because when it comes to multiplying leaders, that's like you releasing control and a bit of status and going, there are others coming through. What do you think? Yeah. What does that look like? And what would you say to someone who, and perhaps it's for yourself that has to go, you have to learn to release in order to multiply? Because I think that is pivotal in, I'd say, in a business, but also personally as well. When I think of that, for example, I think of my own kids. Like when I speak to them and they would come to me and reflect on, hey, Dad, this person knows you. And in their conversation with this other person, whether it be adult or another young person who knows me, and they're like, oh, does it encourage you? Do you want to be more like this person? Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, how do you be more like Ray? But at the same time, it's like, I have to be okay if the next person coming underneath me, which is my daughter or others, to actually surpass me.
Yeah.
What's the fear in that? What's the fear in?
I love the question. When you're sitting, when I had my stroke, I sat there in this hospital and I was like, I had all these ideas. I had every acronym in the book. I had all the solutions to the world. I could save kids in Africa and Samoa, everywhere. Every country could be saved. Send it, right? But I was going to go in that moment. It could have just went, hey, Ronnie, we gathered here today. It would have been those moments where you're like, okay, well, what did Ronnie do in that moment? And I kept on, during that moment, I used to hold back things. I've got all the formulas here. Albert Einstein just held all the formulas to every solution. In that moment, I realized for me to be released from that worryingness or understanding, okay, I may give this, but they may take it and run the ball and make thousands of dollars from it, right? When I knew that it was okay, and it comes back to the identity piece where I still go home, sit on there, play red wine and have fun in the car. That I am still that guy. When I sit in that car and be happy. That's the pinnacle moment where you can go, okay, I'm going to release all this information, right? Because I may be taken right now, and all of that information that could possibly save many lives has now gone to the grave. And I think there's a lot of analogies with people talk about the grave, right? They go, oh, the grave has all the secrets to the world, all the solutions to cancer, to all these things that are happening because somebody held back. So for me, it's like, okay, you give me the opportunity like this. This is not a small opportunity sitting on a podcast or meeting new people, but I'm going to go, okay, what am I going to do to make this memorable, that light bulb moment happen, and also give them a bit of Ronnie and flavor. They used to that coconut, that coconut flavor. Any organization, I always chuck that island flavor in there, and it just all comes back to that, the identity piece, that I know who I am, and therefore when I release information that it's okay, they can run with it, but knowing that part of you is now affected the next leader, and they can pick and choose, because the blessing of life is who you listen to, right? You don't have to listen to everyone. But when there's people like Ray and Pete, when I got David Lakisa, Georgie Ravulo, my father, my mother, my sister, these are the 7 key sounds that I'm listening to. That's only that I know, that familiar with. It's okay.
Yes.
So it comes down to that identity, knowing who's in your corner legitimately. You're going to make mistakes, but you always go back. When people go, you sit there and you're in your bed, your deathbed, and all you ask for is for your family. You don't ask for anyone else. You ask for your kids. You ask for your, I hope my parents are there, and you sit there. You don't ask for the car and the new title that you received from being the CEO of a business. You don't ask for the memories that you had being the leader of the biggest company. That's where I always reflect to, and that's my go-to, is like, okay, if I was in the position that I am now, how can I give? How can I give 150 million%, run the ball straight, and know that it's okay if it continues, if it fails, you know? So that's where I see the journey of being free,
Yeah.
knowing where you stand with your identity, so that when things happen, you go, I'm still good to go. I'm
safe.
still able to go
Yeah.
into my car
Yeah.
and sit there and play them. The music plays.
Yeah.
The song never changes.
Yeah.
UB40 hasn't changed.
Yeah.
You know, it hasn't changed. But
Yeah.
when you know the song that you always go for,
Yeah.
and the family structure that you've always been around,
Yeah.
that's all that matters.
That's incredible you say that, because there's so many things that I'm sort of connecting the dots on, is that in order, as a leader, the great, what it said, the greatest form of flattery is imitation. Meaning, if someone's trying to imitate what you do because of your influence on them, it's like, oh, that's cool. And if they run the ball and run in a different way and they make thousands of dollars, like, no, I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
The fact that you know that you had a significant contribution in their life, and that is, you only have peace with that person running the ball and going on and make millions of dollars, for example. You only have peace because you are okay with who you are. Friend of mine always says to me, Ray, dreams and ideas are free.
Yeah.
You think that's a cool idea? Just give me a cup of coffee from Lumbr Café, pun intended.
Yeah.
Give me caffeinated. I'll give you 1,001 more ideas.
Yeah.
Because I'm okay. My identity isn't tied around that piece. Yeah, it's a cool thing, but the essence of multiplication of, like, how do you multiply your influence? Not so much how do we make more money? How do you multiply your influence? And I think that's the point of difference of when someone imitates you or tries to take something that belongs, not, I wouldn't even say belong, because you're giving it away. So you're serving the person by saying, okay, it's up to you what you do with it. If you take it, cool, make it yours. Yeah. But I know where I sit, and I'm okay with that if it doesn't go according to how things should.
Yeah. 100%. I feel that. Like, it's when you're able to be released from everyone's opinion on you and what you do and the journey that you've had. And you know that the sole focus is to make sure that you got food on the table and your wife's happy and your kids are healthy. That releases everything that I feel has stopped me from progress. You know, because the journey there is, when you're relying on everyone else's opinion on you, it's a very dark place. It's a very slow pace, because sometimes they never tell you how they feel about you, because you're trying to wait, you're trying to ask the question, you're like trying to unlock everything, but when the unlocking is already at home. When you wake up and when the wife's smiling, you're like, yeah, that's good to go. We're good, baby. We're good.
We're good, baby.
We're good. We're going to win today. You know, so that's where I see it. I see it the most, where when you know who you are, you know where you stand in your own cohort of family, and the 7 voices that you listen to, whether it be 1 voice, 2 voices, 3 voices, but those are the only voices you listen to, because they'll be legitimately sharpening your sword during that time. Yeah.
What is something in leadership for you in business world, but also just in leading yourself? What's one leadership belief that you've had to unlearn? Because we've spoken in the sense of, I'm learning something from others. I'm taking bits and pieces from myself and others, and you've shaped, it's helped shape your philosophy. But have there been practices or leadership, I'd say belief, that you've had to go, actually that doesn't work, and what have you done? Because again, there's that vulnerability piece of, as a leader, you don't want to be seen as the weak one or the one that doesn't have it all together. But I think that's it. Yeah. How do you unlearn? There's been something that you've had to unlearn in order for you to go, oh, actually, it's made me better now?
Yeah. I think the one that I love the most is, people don't follow titles. People don't follow titles, because you can be the CEO of the biggest business in the world, but they won't follow the title. They actually look at what you do with the title. Similar to when I reflected back to Saipipi and Toalepai, the name of that's been bestowed on me to lead, what it recognizes of what and it's what my parents have done for this community, right? Is when I reflect on the titles that you may be given, and you reflect on, okay, this is me, and I'm now the CEO, and you know, we spoke before, where a lot of the CEOs and the biggest businesses are like the nicest people in the world. And there's like that middle management where you're like, oh, like they're just trying to prove themselves.
Prove yourself.
They're trying to like serve above and beyond
their
their
capability
capabilities
and
and
competency.
saying yes to everything, right?
Yes.
And that's where I had to unlearn that they're not going to follow you because you're the CEO, mate. They're following you because what you do. And I think I love when I've had conversations with some good leaders or some leaders in general where they go, why would I need to do that? I've already done that for the last 10 years. I don't need to do that.
Red
I was
flag.
like, I'm
Red flag.
sorry? So you're saying that you're trying to tell me that you need to improve, you're telling your staff members to improve their workspaces and how they do it, but you're not willing to show them how to do it.
Yeah.
So that's when I knew straight away, people do not follow titles.
Yeah.
They follow what you do, and reflects back to our identity as Psalm 1 is tautua. The key to leadership is service. Ole ala i le pule o te tautua. We need to move forward and show them how to do it and be willing to go back and play that game again. I can be the cleaner. I can be the laundromat. I can be the guy that's disciplining my child at that moment. Because we can move and navigate. So people do not follow titles. And if you're up that level, you're willing to come back and play that game. Playing first grade. You're playing first grade your whole life. You're willing to come and play reserve grade. It's all good. It's all gravy. But that's the beauty about where I had to unlearn was, okay, now that I'm the CEO or whatever, I'm the owner of the business, is that no, I don't stand at the biggest towers, and I reflect on Pete's journey today. Love Pete, but we have to go back and on the ground sometimes and play the ball, you know? So, people do not follow titles. They follow how you work in the business.
Yeah. And that can be intimidating.
Yeah.
Because again, I feel like this conversation is always going around identity. And I think I really believe that this conversation today is around identity piece in leadership. Because if your identity is about having the title, or the title gives you authority in whatever role you're in, then I feel like you're already on like the deficit of leading and influencing people. Because you can tell people to do things. We can misinterpret what delegation is. Oh, I'm a leader, I delegate. And I tell people what to do, how to do it, and that's called micromanagement.
Yeah.
But there's a fine, I don't know if it's a fine line or a fine tension, but what has been your experiencing in serving, but then also being assertive in your leadership? Like giving, but also, and I don't say taking, but it's like, I want to serve you, but at the same time, there's a boundary where I will also lead.
I love the saying, leadership without connection is control. Hey, because I've been a part of some
Say it again to the nosebleed section.
Leadership without connection is control. When you talk about that micromanagement ideas, like people, I've been a part of those societies and communities, right? And when you refer to identity and knowing someone's identity and then finding that connection, I always refer to kids, and if they don't have kids, do they have a pet? And then I refer back to the dog that I didn't ask to buy, but my wife bought it anyway. So it's just like, what are we doing? But the connection is real, right? I'm still connected. So when I reflect on those moments where I'm like, okay, the title is throw the title away. The control, throw that away. It's about identity and connection. And that's what I love. Some people go, okay, Ronnie knows everything about me. Ronnie knows a lot of things. But I don't go home and dwell in it. I don't go sit there and go, oh, my colleague just told me that this is what's happened on the weekend, and I'm actually going to go home and dissect that and look at the outlining and challenges that they're facing, and disadvantages and underlying things that are happening in their life. Nah, I actually go home and have my own problems. I've got my own problems. So when I look at that and look at what I can control in my own life before leading and finding that connection, we're good to go. So, leadership without connection is control. Literally.
Oh, I feel like we need to print that somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the parting gift you leave us on this podcast. Leadership without connection is control. Leadership without connection.
Yeah.
That's a bar. If Pete was here, we do things on the podcast.
Yeah.
We go bar and we just.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to put it as an acronym now.
Speaking of frameworks and whatnot.
Let's go.
And I think that is a lesson that I'm learning.
Yeah.
To be okay with not being okay and being in control. We talked about the controllables and the non-controllables a lot in our leadership roles that Peter and I have. But in past episodes, we mentioned one of our legends in foreground performance, Chrissy Coleman.
Yeah.
And a part of that understanding connection and that control piece is when you're speaking to someone and trying to understand who they are without understanding them, is that low context and high context conversation. Low context is control. Why are you doing that? Who told you to do that? Did I give you permission? That's that low context conversation, right? But high context is about purpose and mission. How can I help you? I'm interested in that decision you made. What have you learned from? That's a high context. That's elevating someone into that space. And again, that's giving away your control and giving opportunity for someone to level up in their learning and understanding. So that connection piece is important, because without that connection piece, the conversation will always be low context. And that's where I feel like heads are butting in organizations, in interpersonal spaces, because we talk low context instead of high context in terms of giving, serving. How do I help elevate you? How do I get you from A to B? What can I do for you today? Simple questioning like that.
That book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, that it talks about that low context and high context, because they go, okay, you know you're right. You know that it's right.
I'm always right.
I'm
What do you
always
want
right,
about?
right? You know it's right.
It might,
But if you do that, if you grow with the high context and the perspective and the frameworks around that, it's going, okay, how can I empower? How can I provide purpose and provide the vision? And everyone's got a vision, right? But what's the mission of this business? And for you, and I see this with your business, with Foreground, is you provide success, you see success, you speak life to success. Because when you speak things to life, it allows for growth. But you're not talking down at somebody. You're not telling where it needs to be, you know, and also understanding where you sit in that person's life. I'll be very upset if I seen a random person telling my son what to do, because I've never met this person in their life. But because I've built that connection, I'm able to lead. You know, I'm able to speak in that level where they understand, but also empower them at the same time. So I choose empowerment over delegation and tell them where to head, you know. And sometimes that book says, don't correct the behavior, don't correct what they're doing, but how can you allow growth with your conversation? Do you go, okay, I know this is what you've done in this space, but what did you learn? Like you said, what did you do here? Or how can you bring change on this part of it? So you let them fit out of the square, out of the circle, so they can start growing in that moment too. So I love that.
That meant that you know what you just reminded me. When it comes to empowering others to take responsibility of their own accord, I'm reminded of something that was said to me in terms of correcting people. It's not about doing it in public. It's actually about correcting them in private. You'll see it, Tom. You're nodding because we've seen bad examples of when people are trying to correct each other in public, and that spirals and goes down south very quickly. But I think to be able to help someone, to empower someone when you're mentoring them, is actually the best correction comes in private, because then they can perform well in public. But letting them learn that space, how do you go about that? How do you, again, you're working with a young clientele, I would say, young. There are others, but how do you go about coming alongside them and correcting them? Not in correcting them, challenging, championing them.
You know, when I reflect on that, it's that intrinsic motivation, right? They want to make a change themselves before they want someone telling them how to do it. And when I reflect in a lot of the moments in my life, and working with adults is challenging as well, because they've defined their identity, they know who they are, and sometimes they're not willing to unpack it. But finding that intrinsic motivation where they can be a part of the journey, but under their own influence, on their own choices, this is where that battle becomes, where you go, okay, how do I unlock that? And it goes back to the identity. I always reflect back to the identity
it.
because when you know where they stand and how they stand, I've never fought in my life, but when people talk about the type of stance you're sitting, right? Well, you need to understand that. We need to understand the stance that they're standing in, because if you know how if they put their left foot first, or their right foot first,
Yeah.
then you're able to lead in how to do it well.
Mm.
Because if they lead with their left foot, and then you're trying to tell them with their right foot, and they're like, bro, I can't do that. It doesn't math. I don't know how to do that. So for me, it's finding who they are. It can be a tough process, but the journey is real. Like we need to unlock that before we start making changes, And people when they're not for that. And that's when you go, that's probably not my environment. I can't help you here. Like, actually, this is not my business. I'm all good, And that's where I love where we go. This company wants, or this business, or this person wants this output, but not willing to do the hard work before that. They just want to get the results, but not understand why we're doing it and the purpose. So, yeah, I think it's finding that intrinsic motivation, what ticks them, what makes them happy, what makes them drive, why they do the things that they do. When you realize that it's just about money, there's another angle that you can play that, That's an able, It's no longer cut up boards, it's an able for that one, So that's where I see it. Once we find where they stand, and then find out their motivation and make it intrinsic where they want to do it, then it makes it a lot easier.
I love that. How do you have a healthy conversation about misalignment? Like if you're working with someone and you realize, oh my days, we just don't align. Like the opportunity is amazing. I've had great opportunities. And initially I get enthusiastic about, hey, here's an opportunity. Ray gets to do what he does best. He gets to speak. He gets to present. He gets to be a part of an organization or branding. It's like, okay, but now I don't know how to have this conversation. Is there a healthy way of having a conversation about misalignment with a person or an organization?
Yeah, no, I love it, man. And that's the blessing of being a part of different businesses and understanding different processes. And you don't, when you have that misalignment, don't think it's like an epiphany thing that happens just like that, right? Isn't it? Like it's just like we actually don't get along. Like, you know what I mean? We don't get along.
That's straight up.
No, like I'm like, for me, you see the signs before it gets to those moments.
Okay.
Right? Because like you said before, you get excited. There's things where there's probably foreground and Pacific Soda. There's synergy there. There's energy there. But actually, there may be values that we don't stand by. But to know, you know who you are, I know who I am, and we stand there on our business 10 toes down and go, actually, we're misaligning. And that's where I see a lot of the growth in men and women that have great businesses, is that they can actually tell you where their vision is, and you tell them where I tell them where my vision is, and we just don't align, and we professionally move on. So what I see for what you're saying is, don't act surprised when it's not
It
working.
doesn't align if it doesn't
because
work.
there's been many signs before getting to that point. So for me, it's adjusting and not getting to the point where you're excited, because when you already know the signs are there and the challenge is already, like, you've told them to be there at the meeting at 11 o'clock and they keep on coming at 11:20. There's really misalignment here. You're not a priority to them. So that's where I see it. It's like, don't act surprised when the problem is when you go, actually, we don't get along. It's like getting married for 20 years and go, oh, actually, we don't get along.
Oh my days.
Like we've worked a lot, So that's where I see it. Don't act surprised when things don't align. Because you've already set down the boundaries and also where you sit as a business during that time. So that's why, when I reflect on that question, you see the signs and then you work and you make sure that you address those signs before it gets to that point where you're sitting there going, why are we in the same car right now? So that's where I see it. Great. That's where I see it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised.
Don't be surprised.
Don't be surprised. And I think we can be taken by surprise.
Yeah.
And I could be just talking very like philosophical here.
Yeah.
But when you invest heavily into someone or a business and it doesn't align, but like, oh my days, I never thought, I thought they were like this, but now they're acting out like this. Like, I think as in a corporate context, we never want to be caught by surprise, like,
Yeah.
or risk averse. I think connection piece is important, as you mentioned, because with that connection of you getting to know me, where I stand, how I stand in the quote unquote fight, helps you to understand who I am in this fight or in this position where I am. And I think that'll elevate your connection piece even more and elevate what service you provide. And I think that's a good thing.
You just reminded me when the misalignment and being happy to move away or to move out and be like, this, we're not connecting, so let's just go. Because some people go, they hold on to things and going, no, let's make it work, but the guys punch you 30 times in the face, and you're like, no, we can still do it, just give me the Vaseline, let me cover my face. But knowing that and confidently moving out of that space and going, okay, I actually this is not my contract, or I know I've signed for 2 years, but this actually doesn't align with me, so I'm gonna actually sign another contract with another club. So when I look at those moments and those strengths that you have, is when you're strong in your identity, you know where you belong, you know where your heart is and where your vision and what it aligns with. It gives you more of an opportunity to bow out, like move away from that contract or move away from that agreement, confidently, to know that, okay, this is not it. But it takes time.
It does take time. One of the frameworks we use at Cultural Architect is pause. PAUSE. And having those conversations and emotionally regulating yourself before you have a misaligned, healthy conversation. It actually gives you time to stop. So P, pause in your thought process, pause in your actions. It's basically saying, hey, hang on for a second here. A, airway, breathe in and out. Okay, I understand I need to begin to regulate myself before I make a decision. You understanding the moment. Okay, I feel there's misalignment happening here. I feel uncomfortable here, but it's okay. I'm still in the moment. I'm pausing. I haven't made any decisions yet. S, maybe that S is speaking kindly to yourself and going, okay, I'm good for business. I know who I am, even though this conversation is uncomfortable, but Ray, you're okay. You've been here before. It's not the end of the world. And then E is the framework of how do you engage in a positive action or engage in a controllable action? What's now my decision? So you're making that decision at the end of, okay, I'm now emotionally regulating myself or just calming myself before I have this misaligned conversation. And that framework we've found is really helpful. We've piloted this framework in detention centers, in high schools, and even now we're about to pilot in some organizations. But we could do a lot of benefit when we just pause and before we make a irrational decision, an emotive decision. But I think it also helps, like what I was saying before, about if there's a misalignment before you have that conversation, because we can get so agitated or get really riled up, and we end up going, I don't know how to say it and say it correctly.
I love it, because when it goes referred to the quick to listen, slow to speak, because I love the way you've done the acronym, because when we're able to pause and listen, because what else are you doing when you're pausing, right? You're just trying to breathe at the same time.
Stop, collaborate, and hey, he was it. Stop, collaborate, and listen.
Literally, if there was a song for it, that would be the song. But yeah, if you're like, okay, you know that everyone says it. That's why you got 2 ears, mate. You got to listen. You know, you got one mouthpiece. So I can't wait to see that in and what it's already done for people, because if you can identify and make it clear of where you stand with that acronym, and engage in a way that is, because you've done the pausing, you've done the listening, and now you can engage in a way that's summed up all those other acronyms, right? You can now control the situation. Oh, not control entirely, but you're in control of yourself. You're in control of what words you use, right? Because then when you're saying it, you're like, actually, it took me a while to get there, and it's okay. I love it when I share with people, I get, it's okay not to talk. Like, some people walk into the space, they're so angry. Like my son, he'll walk in like screaming, carrying on, and a lot of people would go, correct the behavior now, correct it. But I'll be like, let him do his thing. 3 hours later, no, correct the thing, and then that's the beauty about pause, I reckon, and I can't wait to see that in action because I know that's needed in many workspaces and in relationships too.
Yeah. Please. Happy Valentine's.
I love it.
Ronnie, I'm just thinking of the work you have done over the years, community-wise, particularly landing with Pacific Certified. And a question that I want to ask as we wrap up is that if you had an opportunity, I was just thinking of the sporting context because that's what we're referring to. And I was actually watching the NFL Super Bowl highlights and whatnot. So I'm gonna throw you this scenario: is that you're at the Super Bowl and you get given an opportunity on the mic, they interview captains, the coaches, the world is watching on, millions of viewers are watching on. But rather than a sporting team, it's you as a person and it's wrapped up in your business context, Pacific Certified, all your lived experiences. And you have a moment to pause because the camera's about to go 3, 2, 1, and you have a moment to share with the world. What is the thing that you are wanting to share with the viewers?
There's actually a couple of things that I'd lead in this.
Go on.
First of all, my faith, and know that there's something way bigger than me that's already controlled the destination of where I'm heading. But then I go back to the Psalm 1 Proverbs, that we stand by is Oleale pule o te tautua. Leadership is through service. We need to serve before we start to think of even leading. I think that's where I sit in my life and where I go with my family and all businesses that I've ever been associated with. Thank guys for your belief in me. Is that my moment will be talking about God and how it's best me, and then also second about serving before I start leading. So that's where I'll share the most. And with all of those things, if I've got more time, is obviously telling them where I've come from to be in this moment. But it'll be sharing my love of Jesus Christ and why I am the way I am, and then talking about service. Let's serve before we start trying to think we're the boss.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you again for your wisdom, your insight, and it's just been a pleasure to chat with you. And again, I know our viewers will appreciate this. I appreciate this. I often say to people, this podcast is for selfish reasons because it's free PD for me.
Yeah. Same for me.
I get to learn aspects of people and their journeys in leadership, but also the way they lead themselves especially. Yeah. And that's a benefit to me. So it's the best education I'll ever get. So thank you for being our guest. Episode 1. Season 2, and again, for our viewers and listeners, we will be back on socials very shortly. You'll see amazing highlight reels of my man Ronnie. YouTube, we're on Instagram, and we're on, where else are we? YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We're just trying to get everywhere. And Ronnie, if people want to get in contact with you, where's the easiest? Don't give your number, but where's a landing place where they can find you and get in contact with you, the work you do? Yeah, love it. Thanks, brother. Thanks for the opportunity at pacificcertified.com. You can just fill in the forms there, just see where I can support, and then also lead into Instagram, which I've now it's a place that you can get into direct message me around what you guys are doing and how I can support. So those 2 pages. Awesome. Thank you again. Appreciate you. And we'll see you on episode 2. Thank you, brother. Let's go. What is the Foreground Podcast all about? Well, we work around the 4 C's. And the 4 C's are we talk anything around culture, corporate, community, and connection. And so a lot of the time we love to find guests where we speak about their roles, we speak about their lives, we speak about leadership, anything that can help add value to you and your capacity.